This is TWiT. Here's a video on YouTube. NBC aired this video. All visitors to Sochi Olympics immediately hacked. By the way, this will guarantee that the show gets pulled from YouTube right away, so just want to watch this.
We'll just talk constantly
make noise.
There you go.
Tell us more,
Let's
Brian
offer
Williams.
witty insights and parodies.
NBC's international correspondent Richard Engel, working with a security expert from Trend Micro, basically, go ahead and play the audio.
And as Richard Engel found out upon his arrival there, it's not a matter of if, but when. Richard, good evening.
So first of all, he's in. This whole thing was shot in Moscow, not Sochi.
Good evening,
just
Brian.
so you know.
It is not just hacking. The State Department warns that travelers should have no expectation of privacy, even in their hotel rooms.
Well, we know that because the guy in charge of Sochi said, no, they are hacking hotel rooms. We have cameras, and we see them turn on shower in the morning and leave on all day, which really kind of made me nervous, but that's another story.
Especially exposed as soon as you try and communicate with anything. One of the first things visitors to Russia will do is log on. Hackers here
log on to, wait a minute, log on to what? Okay, go ahead.
So we decided to find out how dangerous that can be. Kyle,
hey.
Welcome to Moscow.
Yeah, thank you.
With the help of Kyle Wilhoit, a top American computer security expert.
So they had 3 computers, each of which they pulled out of the box. Without updates, they put them online. And then they went to websites, the same exact websites you could go to from right here.
2 brand new computers.
Has nothing to do with Moscow. We know this because
with these fresh machines.
The guy from Trend Micro blogged the details. Nice job opening the Apple box. Ever opened one of those before, Richard? It's not
mutilated.
It's like they purposely designed those boxes to be a joy to open.
He tore it
Instead,
open.
It's like he's got meat hooks for hands and just like.
I thought it was a FedEx box.
Inside.
So.
From the producers of To Catch a Predator, it's to open an Apple box.
Yeah, to open an Apple box.
The only real detail, my name.
So you're putting my profile on these computers. That's exactly right.
With our new computers now loaded with potentially attractive data, we headed for a restaurant where we used a new smartphone to browse for information.
So-called smartphone.
So apparently what he did is he goes, they don't show this, they did it out. He goes into the Android phone, turns off, checks the box that says allow third-party downloads, and of course you immediately get the warning that's a very dangerous thing to do. Are you sure you want to do it? Yes, okay. Yes. And then intentionally goes and downloads malware. Knowingly.
Wow.
Okay, but watch what happens next.
We were hacked.
We were hacked.
Yeah, I did. Right. It's actually downloading a piece of malware.
Because you asked it to.
Download.
Before we even finished our coffee.
Coffee was also hacked. More on that later.
Hackers the option
So
to
how did this blow up in their faces? How did it become
The
clear?
guy
Was
from
it
Trend
from the
Micro set
detail?
this up, blogged about it. He said, I just want to be clear what actually happened.
Common sense.
Yeah, and he said later, you know, everything we did is exactly what you should not do. And it didn't matter that they were a coffee shop in Moscow. If you do it sitting right here at this table, it's the same websites. They went to malicious websites and ran programs when the websites asked them to, all the things you're not supposed to do. But they edited it out. What they make I can continue to play it. They make it look like there was no interaction at all. They edit out the part where he downloads and says yes and runs the program.
Kaspersky Labs, one of the largest computer security companies in the world, is charged with protecting the games. But
So when he made this blog post explaining all this, this was him trying to clear the air so that he didn't feel dinged on this, right?
I kind of feel like he realized that in editing, it kind of looked a little different than it actually was. The blog post is behind the scenes, behind the NBC honeypots. It's on the Trend Micro blog. And he says, first, these attacks required some kind of user interaction, whether to execute the applications or open a Word document. All the attacks shown required user interaction, which was edited out. Second, these attacks could happen anywhere. Third, the infections occurred on newly unboxed hardware, had basic security precautions, such as updating the operating system, been taken, none of these would have happened. In fact, I think they installed Java on the Macintosh because it said all the 3 computers had Flash and Java installed. And that means
Mac doesn't ship with Flash or
Java. That means they actively installed malware vectors on the Mac. Mm-hmm. It's a completely typical bogus story from NBC, and No one's called him on it except for this blog post.
I think there were some other blog posts that maybe provoked that one too. So I think the
people were upset.
Security researchers are
bogus.
On it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Just thought I'd give them a little plug.
You got to wonder what the thought process is. NBC's got the Olympics. There are so many controversies about the Olympics anyway that there's no end to what they can cover controversial about it if they want to. And instead they do this weird simplified story about computer hacking in Russia.
If I were John C. Dvorak and this were the No Agenda show, I would say there was an agenda in Russia to make the Russians look horrible. The Sochi Problems Twitter account, the pictures, many of which it turns out have been faked or misinterpreted about problems in the hotels and so forth. It almost feels like there's a concerted campaign. Is it just me that feels that?
I think it's people jealous that they're not at the Olympics. This is what I think it is. I think that
FOMO.
You're having fun if you're over there, and if you're not, you're like, oh, Sochi Problems. Wouldn't want to be there.
But, you know, we see this kind of thing. Whenever there's a mold that we feel like stuff should fit in, and there's any kind of evidence that seems to exactly fit in what we expect, you know, we all have preconceived notions that everything's corrupt. We've heard that there's going to be the most corrupt Olympics ever, and, you know, worried about terrorism threats, and Putin's putting on a dog and pony show to cover up X, Y, Z. Like, we hear all that, and then as a result, when we get, you know, a photo, whether it's doctored or not, you know, it's hard to not instantly want to jump on it and pass it around. So I don't know that it's a concerted campaign. I think that there's just preconceived notions that we're hearing that when we see something that matches it, it short circuits our critical thinking skills, and instead we just immediately forward it. Because to be honest, like this, you know, like this news story exactly fits what I imagine Russia is. Russia's nothing but drunk people pirating at all times and hacking at all times.
You can't go across the border into Russia without getting hacked was the message of that piece, and it was completely BS.